really am holding a handful of Lisianthus that I've grown myself from seed. The moment has come. The dream picture has been here. Check! Hey garden gals and guys, it's Steph with Tiny's Garden, and today I'm going to show you how I'm potting up my little Lisianthus babies into some cell trays so that they can really take off. For those of you new here, I am Steph. I'm a home gardener, cut flower grower in zone 5B/6A in the Chicago suburbs. I started these on February 11th. All those died. They were too moldy. I used plastic wrap as a humidity dome, and I just think it was too much. Upon retrospect, I wish I would have just brushed the mold off, taken the plastic wrap off, and see if anything happened, but I was discouraged and threw them all away. So then, February 17th, I started my second round of ranunculus, and that is what I am potting up today. I started those in Ocean Forest potting mix because I was running behind and I didn't have my usual potting mix I like to use, which is either Vermont Compost Company or Coco Loco for soil blocking. So I made do with Ocean Forest, but I think it's too chunky and I want to give them a better chance at survival. So I'm going to use Vermont Compost Company Fort V potting mix, pot them up into these cell trays, which I did last year as well, and they really took off. This one I have in the small soil blocks. If we look at all of them, a lot of them are still pretty tiny. And over here, same story. And then bam, you can clearly see the difference of the ones that have been potted up. I mean, look at that. But they're huge. You can see the difference. So I went through and counted up all of the ones that have germinated, and I do have a total of 85. Fingers crossed I can keep as many of those alive as possible. I'm going to show you what those look like in a moment, but first I wanted to quickly run through and let you know what varieties I have and how many, because some are doing much better than others. So at this point, all of these are 4.5 weeks old. And starting with Voyage to Lavender, it has done the second best for me. I have 21 of those. Voyage to Champagne, I have 5, which is a bummer, but I'll take 5 over none. First Love, which is a new one for me this year. I'm very, very excited to see it bloom. I have 20, hoping I can save all 20. Then the one that has done the best for me is Voyage to Green. And this is a new one for me this year, so I really hope that I like it. I have 28 of those. Arena 3 Apricot, I have 7. And Corelli 3 Light Pink, which is also a new one for me this year, I have 4. So actually that one is the worst. But all those added up together is 85. So I'm hopeful that I can keep what I have and at the very minimum keep half, because that would give me a full raised bed. I had almost 2 full raised beds last year and I could not get enough. So I'd like to have as many as possible and at least 1 full bed. They're my favorite cut flower. Love them, love them. And part of that is because they're hard to grow. It's a challenge, but I take it on. We love the challenge, right? So let's take a look at how these are looking right now. I'm going to show you these Lissies now before I water them because you can see the green a little better. But this is my best tray. Still spotty germination. Second tray starts pretty good over here and then gets next to nothing. And then back here we have some more green, which is good as we get to the middle. Not great, but then some on the end over here. And this last tray up in the upper left, we've got some green and a little bit down here lower left. But that's it. So what I'm going to use to pot these up is my big green potting tub tray. I have this in my Amazon storefront. love it to mix up soil, especially for cell trays. My Vermont Compost Company Fort V potting mix, I used most of my soil blocks with this last year and had a really good year. I'm not sure how sold I am on the Coco Loco and wool pellets mix yet. My snapdragons have started to germinate, but there's one full tray that has not. So I think it's more me than the recipe itself, but I decided I want to use my tried and true Vermont Compost Company Fort V potting mix for potting these guys up. I do have some leftover wool pellets, so I'm probably going to throw those in there so I don't have to fertilize, but that is what is going to be composing the mixture I put in these cell trays. This I just got at Menards the other day. It is a burpee with a bottom tray and then this tray so I can bottom water, which is ideal. 36 cells. I'm gonna see how I like it. It looks like it's easily cleanable and reusable, so we'll see. Then this is a 50 cell tray, and I think I got this from maybe Johnny's last year. This worked really well. I actually potted some up in this last year too, I believe. So I'm gonna do that again. So 50 and 36 is 86. Hopefully I find one little extra Lisianthus and fill up all these cells. The last thing I'm going to use is a chopstick to poke a hole in each one of the cell trays. Give it a good pour in here. Some people sift this. I don't. Let's start there. Oh, it's so nice and rich. And I don't think it's very clumpy to begin with, which really helps. Then my leftover wool pellets. I've got about maybe a cup. These have been blended in a food processor with some water. Acts like a natural fertilizer. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this bag up. And then the difference in watering for cell trays versus soil blocks is big time. You wanna make sure in soil blocks they're pretty saturated, that when you're running your mixing tool across your bin of soil, there's a little water residue left behind. With regular cell trays, you don't, because that's too wet. You want the composition to be able to hold itself, but when you're squeezing it, you don't want water to be pouring out. Let's start there. You can always add more. I can tell this is getting to be more of the right consistency I'm looking for. I'm gonna make a ball with my hands. When I press, there's not water coming out of the bottom, but it holds its shape. That is what we want. Now, what I love about this potting tray is I can sit my actual cell tray right in here and then easily scoop up from the side and press it right into the cell tray. If you're wondering where I get the Fort V potting mix, I get mine on Amazon. It's also linked in my Amazon store on the description, but I haven't been able to find it outside of that, so I order it online. Once I've got it pretty much covered, then I like to actually bounce it a little bit. And you'll see the soil settle, and then I can top off those cells that need more. Okay, that looks good to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this one up because I'm on a time crunch and get going on transplanting the Lisianthus into this one. I can always do the other one later. So let's move this potting tub and get the Lissies out here. So here are what my Lissies are looking like right now. I gave them a slight drink this morning, so they're not too dry, they're not too wet. Right in the middle for transplanting is best. Now, any little soil block that I see any grain in, or even the slightest stem of grain, is getting transplanted up. I'm gonna come through first and make a little hole in the middle of each cell. Great, that's all done. So now I'm going to start with a certain variety, take my tape off so I can still have an idea where is which variety, and put it on the side of the tray. Then as I'm coming through and picking these up, I'm being delicate, and I'm going to stick this whole thing right into this hole and just gently Make sure it's intact with the soil. I'm not gonna fuss too much with it because I don't want to overdo it. Let's go ahead and fill this tray. Remember, even if I see the tiniest of tiny, you probably can't even see it in the camera. I see a little stem has started to germinate. I'm gonna transplant them. That one I crushed. Not good. That's what you don't want to do. Now, do I do this with every kind of plant? No, I don't. Lizzie's I care about probably more than anything else, so I definitely do for these, and because they're pretty finicky to grow, so I want to give them their best shot. Snaps I keep in the little blocks, Rudbeckia I keep in the little blocks. I kept pretty much everything I started in the little blocks in there last year, and they all did fabulous. So no, I don't transplant everything up. That being said, if you have some that are struggling, I would recommend trying to transplant them up because it might give them a new jolt in life. I also know people who have kept their Lizzies in these small blocks the whole time until they transplanted them out to the garden. Obviously that saves you a step, but I just have this feeling if I keep them in here, they're not gonna do as well as if I transplanted them up. And it worked for me last year. Now last year, most of mine were a little bigger when I transplanted them up. At least this size, I would say. But I think these are struggling a little more than last year, so that's why I'm doing it now 4.5 weeks in. You could also pot these up into bigger soil blocks, but I find it's easier to do in cell trays because I don't want to make 86 bigger soil blocks. But do whatever is best for you. And I'm done with this tray. They are all filled up. And if you can't tell by my outfit yet, it is a new day. And we're back, baby. Let's finish this. These are going under the grow light. I had to go to a client's yesterday, and then by the time I was done with it, I ran to Target and my hips were cashed. I was feeling a lot of pressure underneath my baby bump. And so I was in bed the rest of the night. I played tennis for 2 hours on Wednesday. I had an actual match. Doctor said it was okay, but after I could hardly move. And so last night, I think it was like, oh, you're done for the day. But now I'm feeling good. Hips are back to normal. So let's finish this. Next tray. See if it holds its shape. Sure does. Good to go. And I've still got some wool pellets in there from yesterday when I started this project. So we are ready to rock. Let's fill up this tray. I think maybe I have a little too much extra soil, so I'll just use this to make some big soil blocks for my tomatoes and mahogany splendor hibiscus that I need to get into the ground. Well, into soil blocks. Tap, tap, tap. And you can see it comes down a little bit on the edges. I just want to fill that up to the top. Ta-da! All set to go. So one thing I wanted to mention, when I was transplanting the first round up, you can see that I had a lot of blocks kind of explode on me. So you do have to be very delicate. As I said, I'm doing this earlier than last year, and it was more challenging because a lot of them are so tiny. But I think I've decided the ones that have not pre-sprouted yet are not gonna be worth trying to save, especially since half of them have crumbled. So just be very delicate. Yeah, you know, while I've got this here on the table and all set, I'm gonna quickly add more water and soil block some out on this tray so they're ready to go, and maybe I can just keep planting tonight. Wouldn't that be marvelous? Here's what I've realized the past couple days after this, you know, soreness I was experiencing and being kind of bound to bed for a couple days. Doctor has ordered some rest. I wasn't bound to bed. I was just in bed after I played tennis and then yesterday afternoon. Today I feel like $1,000,000, if you can't tell, a little more chipper. I am learning I'm starting to slow down a little bit, being 6 months pregnant with twins, 25 weeks on Monday, which is 3 days from now. So what I'm trying to do is get as much done as I can when I feel good, because I know this is gonna go to this, and I'm probably not gonna feel like doing very much. So I wanna get most things sewn when I've got the energy, you know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and just bust these out. Bust a move. So on that similar note, if you've got any YouTubers you really enjoy following that are in zone 5B/6A, or really anyone, especially if they're new, let me know, because I might be watching a little more than usual in the next few months. And especially new ones, because I like to try and support new YouTubers, because it's really hard getting started. I mean, just now my channel is starting to take off a bit. Yay! Thank you everyone who has subscribed and has been with me on this journey. It can be really defeating in the beginning, like a struggle bus, and it's a lot of work. So I do like supporting new ones and encouraging them. So drop a comment and let me know who to check out. And also maybe any junk TV recommendations. I watched the Love is Blind reunion yesterday. I didn't even watch the whole season. I just kind of followed online a little bit and watched the reunion, and voila, I was all caught up. Stuff like that that's juicy, I can handle in certain amounts. So maybe drop a couple of those too. Yeah, I think this is wet enough. So let's get going. I'm gonna do a combo of small and big. I know I've got stock to plant, so that'll go in the small, and I know I've got tomatoes and mahogany splendor hibiscus to plant, so that'll go in the large, or the 2-inch. I'm sorry, I'm starting to overheat. Sweatshirt's gotta come off. Bump's gonna be out loud and proud, y'all. Let's proceed. I'm just gonna keep chatting while I'm feeling chatty and while I'm busting these blocks out. I started filming a video today while I was getting my infusion. I went to Anthropology and they had a huge sale. They are also part of Terrain, or Terrain is part of them, which is like an outdoorsy company. Found some great planters, found some other things, so we're gonna do a haul. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I'm here 3 hours every other week. Let's treat yourself a little bit. But they had some sales too, which was great. So that's always exciting. Pretty fun, whimsical bases and planters. I love it. Somebody call 911, can you pick me up? So this will be the first soil block I'm doing with Vermont Compost Company this year. I did pretty much all my seedlings last year in it and had really good luck. Jury's still out on how this new seed starting mix is going for me, the coconut core and the wool pellets. I think it's a learning curve on my part, but I don't know, we'll see. Maybe after these all grow, maybe this is my preferred seed starting mix. We'll see, we'll see. This is why we experiment. I also did order some mycorrhiza, which is a thing you can use instead of wool pellets. It's like a fertilizer, I believe. I wonder what it really is. Bree from Blossom and Branch Farm is the one who recommends it secondly to wool pellets, and I should just open the bag and show you. False alarm. This is what was in my Amazon box. I guess the mycorrhiza is not coming till Monday, but I'll put a picture on the screen. You can use that instead of wool pellets. So I'm gonna try that as well this year, and I'll keep track on my trays with painter's tape and a marker of what seed starting mix is on which tray. And this, for a fun fact, if you like thrifting and vintage things, Andy from All Put Together recommends this to clean brass with white vinegar, and it was amazing watching her do it, so I got some. How many more do I want to do? Oh, I've got straw flower to do. I just realized that straw flower 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost were there, so let me do a few more small ones. So far, I think, because I don't sift the Coco Loco, and I certainly did not sift this either, it's easier. There's less debris or sticks and branches and little things that stick out of the soil block. And I'm noticing it's easier to make a block out of. That's obviously probably why sifting is important. But it's nice that I don't have to do that with this. Note to self. And I can't believe I'm gonna open this can of worms, but I'm gonna do it because obviously I'm in a chatty mood and also because I'm in a black hole. We're having identical twin girls and I have 3 months or less to go and we are not on the name train. We've got some ideas, but it's like a black hole going nowhere. So if you have any stellar name recommendations for identical twins, I'm gonna go ahead and let you drop them below. Can't believe I'm opening up the internet to that, but I've reached that point. I don't know what it is about girl names. I feel like I had really solid ideas for boys, had solid ideas for boy, girl. Girl, girl, I just cannot put it all together yet. There's some ones we like, but not like, oh, that is it. We haven't had that moment. These are looking really great, really great. I don't have enough room. Can you move up? Oh yeah. I'm reminded why I love Vermont Compost Company. Okay, think about this. You need to start some tomatoes and you need to start mahogany splendor hibiscus, both of which get huge quickly, which is why I'm using the 2-inch block. I'm gonna have 4 here, 4 here, and then I'm gonna be out of room. I need to get another tray. Somebody call 911, can you pick me up? Those are my first big ones of the year. I'm loving it. Okay, I'll stop showing this here so it doesn't take up this whole video, but I'm really reminded why I do like Vermont Compost Company for soil blocking. That was very smooth. They're looking very solid. Wondering if I should keep trying the other recipe or not. I've got a tray of Rudbeckia, Triloba Rudbeckia, Sahara Rudbeckia. My first round of Lisianthus was ocean soil, so that's different. And I've got all my snapdragons in the cocoa core and wool. Which while I'm talking about it, I'm just gonna show you. It's hard to see, but I've got a lot of germination along the sides for my snapdragons. Just now starting to get some in the middle, but not a ton. And these were sown on March 3rd. Today's the 15th. But this is the next tray I did on March 3rd, and it's all the Madame series. And I have 3 little germinated seedlings. I mean, look at this tray. There's like no green. I don't really know what's going on. I talked about it a little bit on here before. So, you know, I don't know. I'm crossing my fingers that they'll still come up, but this is looking pretty dismal. That's my Snapdragon update. And then these I just sowed 5 days ago. So they've got some time yet. I'm not worried about them yet, but it is the same seed starting mix. Okay, I got those blocks banged out. Now to the task at hand. Let's finish this cell tray and transplant up these Lisianthus babies. Hopefully, I think I should have enough to fill it, but if not, I will find something to put in the extra spaces. Yeah, these blocks are breaking apart pretty easily. Oh my! Thought that seedling almost came out, but she's hanging on there. Can you see her little root? Oh my goodness, so cute. This block has 2, but I think they're just too little to try and separate. So I'm gonna let them grow on with 2 for a while. Okay, I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in, and it's been a disaster. I mean, I think I've fixed it, but these blocks are much harder to work with than yesterday. I think these cells might be a little smaller than the 50 cell tray, and it's been much more difficult to get them in easily without them breaking and or without the actual little Lisianthus seedling popping out, which obviously I don't want because I don't want the root to break. So this is trying, is what I'm trying to say. Notes to yourself. I'm never going to start an ocean forest again. I'm always going to have my preferred seed starting medium ready. Granted, I was going through a lot at that time with the pregnancy, so it is what it is, but not gonna do that again. We'll get through it, but I'll try and zoom in and show you what I mean. So here we are, I'm making my hole nice and big. And it's just not easily fitting in there. So then what happens is it breaks apart like that. And then I've got some of that chunky ocean forest in there that I've just been throwing to the side. And now I've got to delicately maneuver what's left of that block without hurting the seedling. And I'll be darned, that one is the best I've done. Maybe I should keep you on camera with me. That one, pretty good too. You guys are good luck charms. Let's keep rolling with it. When they're a little bigger, it's definitely easier. And I think I transplanted these up much later last time I did this last year, so they were easier to do, but it's proving to be very difficult today. I kid you not, I turned the camera off and the first one I did popped out of the block. I think the root is mostly off, but I'm still planting it to try. What is happening? Okay, everybody, I've officially finished this whole tray of 36, which means I have 86. So I actually had one more than I thought. I finished at 85. I had one cell left, and I went back through all my old trays, and I found one, a little peak of green growing out the side of a block. So I was able to fill the whole thing up. So that's 86 Lisianthus that I've been able to transplant. Fingers crossed. I know about 4 of these. I think the roots got cut off, so I don't expect all of them to make it, but I sure hope as many make it as possible. So now I'm gonna put them under the grow lights. Okay, I've got the big tray over here under the lights I did yesterday. This tray I finished tonight is gonna go right up here. I will bottom water both of these. I'll just lift up the tray, put water down here, let it sit a few minutes. I can do the same thing on both of them. If I want to overhead mist a little bit, I can do that as well, but I'm mainly going to try and bottom water, I believe. And otherwise, they will stay here and keep growing. I will water every day if they need it, if it looks dry. Usually, I'm doing something a little bit every day. And then I've got a fan. I'm going to turn on the fan, and I try and let that run most of the day. If I see it is drying them out too much, I'll turn it off at night. And this little bird back here, you can hardly see it, but it is a gnat trap. So I haven't had any fungus gnats yet, but I'm getting prepared that if I have any, I've got some sticky traps for them to stick to, and I'm gonna probably put some more up very soon. That will do it for today's video. Thank you for coming along. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd love to have you here, and comment below and let me know how your Lissies are going, or if you've transplanted anything else up. Glad to have that off of my to-do list. We will see you in the next one, everybody. Comment below and also let me know if you're new here, where you're gardening. Are you a home gardener? Are you a flower farmer? Let me know. I'm excited to get to know all of you more. We'll see you in the next one, everybody. Bye. Happy planting.